Yeah, hi guys, good morning. And in today's session, we'll talk about AWS architecture. Okay, so this is something what we are going to talk or present in the interviews. Okay, so let me share my screen. Able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is our architecture. What we are going to talk or present in the interviews. Okay, so as per this architecture, do you guys have any questions on this? Let me know if you have any questions so that we can move ahead with the same queries and then finish off this session as well.
External and internal elastic balance. Don't know how it is going
Yeah.
to work.
So basically, external load balancer is something what we have
Voice
used.
clear answer.
Sorry, is this? I mean, my voice is not clear.
Not clear, Sagar bhai.
No, sir. Actually, it is clear.
No, no, your voice is clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. So first thing is, I mean, where are we going to deploy our application? Our actual application will be deployed in app instances, right? So this area. Okay, and then we have our front end. I mean, that is something where we will be deploying our configurations. Okay, and that is our web instances, I mean in Nginx or Apache, and then here we have our Tomcat. Okay, so now whenever a user tries to access our application, right, so the first request will be traveled to the route 53. From route 53, the DNS validations will happen, and then it will go to the load balancer, I mean within inside the VPC. Okay, so we have our internet gateways, we have our routing tables, everything is configured over there. Okay, and then the request will be travel to the load balancer, which is external load balancer, means which is exposed to the internet. Okay, the external load balancer DNS is configured in the route 53. This is what we have did. One second, guys. Let me close this. Yeah. Okay, so external load balancer DNS is configured in our route 53. Okay, so once this request is been traveled, then what will happen? Based upon the path prefixes, based upon the rules, based upon the port numbers, it will redirect the request to any of these instances. I mean, we have two different availability zones. One is US East 1A, one is US East 1B. Okay, so the request will travel to the web instances where we have our web configurations, and here we are configuring auto scaling, means based upon the request or based upon the CPU utilizations, these web instances will scale up and scale down as per the requirement. Okay, and the scaling up and scaling down will be taken care by the AMI snapshot what we have configured, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, and then we this request will be redirected to the internal load balancer. Internal load balancer is used for the internal communication, means it is not exposed to the outside world. If you remember, while creating load balancers, we have seen two options. One is internet facing, one is internal load balancer. Okay, so internal load balancer, again what it will do, once it will receive the load, it will again validate based upon the path prefixes, based upon the target, based upon the health checks. Then it will redirect the request to our application instances where we have deployed our actual application inside the Tomcat. Again, here we have configured our auto scalings, and these auto scalings are being triggered based upon the AMIs what we have configured. Okay. So once the application, I mean any user is trying to write any data, then we have our database in the same region. I mean we have our master database and then standby database in another region, and then read replicas. So if something goes wrong with the master database, what will happen? It will move the request to the standby database. And why are we using read replicas? To improve the performance of our databases. Okay, this is something highly available. Okay, so once, I mean, again, we have S3 over here. So what is the use of S3? As per this diagram, if you see this, the snapshots related to our databases, we are trying to store in S3. Whatever maintenance, I mean, for the fault tolerance, whatever we are using, the snapshots or the images related to, I mean, the backups related to our database, everything we are trying to store in the S3. And also we are taking the EBS snapshots, means the volumes related to our instances. Even that volumes we are trying to store in our S3. And one more use case what we have seen is we are trying to store the VPC flow logs in S3. And one more use case is we are trying to store our load balancer logs in S3. So these are the different use cases what we have used S3 in our project. And in order to make our S3 highly available, we have cross-region replication. I mean, one more in another region, we have one more S3 bucket where we are trying to copy all the data. I mean, if something goes wrong with this primary S3, then we should have at least one more S3 where all our data is being stored. Okay. And then here we have our CloudFront. Okay, if you see this, CloudFront is connected to our S3, means we have our static bucket deployed in our S3. This is also one use case what we have used. And CloudFront is mapped with our Route 53, means the moment user try to access, whether it will go to the DNS validations to the load balancer or else to the CloudFront, means based upon the URL what the user has requested. Got it?
Yes, Sabir, I had one question.
Yeah.
The external elastic load balancing and internal, they both would be same. They would be considered
Both,
same. They would be
both will be same. Okay, external will have the public access. Internal we are going to deploy in the private subnets.
All right. So if it's a classic balancer upside, there should be classic also downside. If there's application, then there should be internal also application.
No. So see, that depends. Okay, so it's not. I mean, there is no rule that if you are using classic as external, then you should use classic as internal as well.
It depends.
That depends upon the protocol of the application what we are using. Okay, and also the how many target groups we are going to provide to the load balancer.
That's what I had doubt about yesterday, because the thing with the elastic balancer in the external side is once the user get access, they will be balanced by the elastic load balancer, and then after that NACL will be coming, right? NACL would be acting as a firewall. Then he would be giving the access to the addresses or map IDs which he knows or will be allowed or denied. Then again the traffic which was balanced would be unbalanced. Then again the internal elastic balancer would be balancing it, right? According to this scenario.
Yes, so NACLs and security groups will work. I mean, this will work as the firewalls for us. So whatever particular traffic you want to block, then we can block in these firewalls. If it is a completely social media platform, then do you want to block any specific user across the globe? No, right? We want everyone to be accessed. If it is internal application which we don't want outside world to be used, in this case everything will be private only. Means within that servers or within that CADR range, users only can connect if they are in the same network.
All right, sir. Got it.
So external is only to balance the load for public, and internal is for private.
Internal, yeah, private, right. External load balancer is distributing the traffic to the instances, web instances, okay, which are in the public subnet.
Actual use of internal balancer means, I mean, already if using external, already the load has been divided from public, it is going to private only, no?
No, so basically, if you want to make our application very secure, we don't want our load balancer where we are redirecting the traffic to the app instances. In this case, we can use multiple load balancer. This is one scenario which can be also used. Whatever we have seen is one case, and this is one use case. So first it will try to
Sir,
connect to
excuse
the.
me, sir. Sir, for the
One second,
private, we are
let
not
me.
giving internet access. Then no need of using the elastic load balancers. That means we are not giving public rights. Sir. Then there is no traffic for that one. So then why we are going to prefer elastic load balancers? Sir?
Which one? I didn't understood that. Can you repeat?
Sir, when an application is access means we are giving access to the public, then only we have traffic, and then we are using load balancer. But whereas for the private, we are not giving access to the public. It is in private only. Then there is no traffic. Then what is the purpose of using load balancer at private? Does it work, sir,
See,
without having the internet gateway?
see, what do you mean by private?
Means we are not providing internet access, right, sir?
So if your application is private, then does it make any sense that no one is using your application?
Since
Who,
internally we
who
are
are the
using,
end
then there
users?
is no traffic, right, sir?
Okay, internally, how many users are there?
For suppose let it be 50 or 100 means compared to the public it is very less, sir, right?
See,
Then
see
traffic is
50.
not more.
If there is 50 or 100 users, then no need to have all this setup. No load balancers, no auto scalings. Launch one T2 large, deploy your application in the private subnet or public subnet, then configure CloudFront for the security or attached to the Route 53. That's it. We are not talking for the specific users like 50 or 100. Okay. So if there are 50 or 100 users and these users are trying to use our application, then no need of all these setups, no need of your private, public, and all these many RDS instances. No need of all this. General use case, try to take the use case as the public facing application only, means public across a specific region like US region or Australia region. They are trying to access our application. Try to be in that scenario. Do not restrict your traffic to 50 or 100 users.
Hence, the external load balancer having the internal load balancer same traffic which has been needed. If there is
Yes, so
external 100 means internal load for 100. Means the
yeah.
requests are traveling all the way from web instances to external, sorry,
No, no.
internal load balancer, from there to app instance, from there to databases.
No, so what will happen is external load balancer will get the traffic and then it will redirect to the web instances. And from web instances, we are trying to communicate with our application instances, right? App instances. In that case, the traffic will be managed by the internal load balancer.
Means the same number of requests that is coming from the external will be going to the internal.
Yes.
There is no change. But at
Yes.
the initial stage, that private, the what we call web instances, sorry, app instances, we will be storing our source code. So we, as you said, we cannot expose our app instances to the what we call to the public. So is there any chances of hacking has been happening because the requests are coming to the
I
internal
mean,
also?
as per this architecture, are we storing any, I mean, are we exposing our app instances to the public?
No, we are not exposing, but there is a chances of that same what we call the
The
same
same
traffic is
traffic in the
coming to
sense,
the
for
inside.
example, same traffic in the sense, the request which is been hitting to the web instances, they might try to access any of the applications which are deployed in the app instances. That can be either the home page, contact page, or some dynamic content, right? So based upon this request, it will be redirected to the load balancer, and load balancer will segregate the request based upon the target groups, based upon the listeners, based upon the port numbers. We cannot design everything in within this architecture only.
Means
What
for
I
the internal
understood is,
also we will be having any
we
what
will having our
NACL,
rules.
NACL, all these things will be
NACLs
happening.
will be there at the subnet level only.
Okay, for both the web instances and app instances, what we
Yeah.
are
So
configuring for both.
yes, at instance level again we'll have our security groups.
Okay, in app instances, we are not storing our source code.
In app instances only we'll be having our application code. In web, for example, we have did HA proxy configurations, right? HA proxy server did we deployed in a sample application? Where was our sample application? In Apache or Nginx, which were behind the HA proxy. So these web instances assume that as HA proxies, and then this is our actual application. So in order to one end user to connect to our actual application, he should bypass all these restrictions and then come over here.
Means the same configuration will be given for the both internal and external load balancers.
See, first load balancer will be targeted only to the web instances. It doesn't have any configurations related to your app instances. Second load balancer will have the configurations related to your app instances.
So we have to configure differently for both.
Yeah, we need to configure that.
So basically, Saber, what I understood is Elastic Load Balancer is here for the highest availability for the web server for web instances individually, and the second one is for the app instances individually.
Yes, right.
Right.
So for both web instances and for the app instances, to distribute the load evenly, we have these two load balancers. One is for external, I mean web instances, basically web instances will be access to the public, right? So this is what we have learned in the client server architecture. So again, to manage the traffic, we are adding this load balancer. Okay.
Yeah, auto scaling will be also given to the both.
Sorry?
Auto scaling.
Yeah, auto scaling will be having for both.
For
example,
instances and the app instances will be reducing and increasing the instances based upon the traffic.
Based upon the traffic, it will scale up and scale down.
A little bit confusing. Because from the starting, we have been learning that the web instances only having this type of things for internally giving, it will take time to install.
Yes. Guys, any other questions?
Saber bhai, if a user is diverted from external to public instance, from through public, is it internal divert to the another instance private, or it is going to the same instance?
आप क्या बोल रहे हो वो समझ में नहीं आ रहा.
अभी पब्लिक इंस्टेंस से नेक्स्ट प्राइवेट जाते ना.
Okay.
So through internal elastic load balancer, is it going to divert to the another zone private instance?
See, at the load balancer level, based upon the rules only, it will redirect to any of these availability zones.
Any of these?
Yeah. So based upon the rules, based upon the listener port numbers, wherever your target is available, then the traffic will be redirected to the target only.
Okay.
That will be happening at the load balancer level, not at the instance level. Okay. So once again, if for example we have 3 instances here, from this particular instance, if you see the connection is going to the S3. Means if we have anything stored in the S3, then our application will try to read this as well. I mean that depends upon the functionality of your code, how the developers have written the code. Okay. So if the developers wants to read some content from S3 or pick some images, then this is also possible to connect from app instances to S3.
Okay.
For S3 cross region replication, this region is different for that region is different.
This is US East 1 region, this is US 2 region.
Okay, these regions, US 1 East region will be sharing in this region, and it has been the same. It has been cross replication to the other region. And what about the another region instances data for S3 bucket? It will be going to for another region
See,
cross replication.
if you want, then you can have multiple regions, but this is already highly available. In how
Yeah,
many regions you want to create? How much
okay.
billing you want to waste, right? Again, cost optimization is also very important. So we cannot just try to replicate in all the regions. We can do that, but that is not really required for us. This is already highly available.
Okay, if I
Our
have
S3 is
lost the
also highly
data,
available. Yeah,
if
if
I
suppose you have lost this US1 region and you are, I mean, if your question is, if what if I'm losing US East 1 and US East 2, then yeah, of course you will be losing your data. ప్రతిదీ కాపాడడానికి ఒకడొకరు లేయర్ పెట్టుకుంటూ వెళ్ళలేము కదా, ఎంత అని పెట్టుకుంటూ పోతావు, అది అయితే ఇది, ఇది అయితే అది అన్ని డౌట్లు ఉంటే ఏం చేయలేము ఇంకా. So there might be some cases where we might lose some data. It is not something that we are always protecting. There are some cases where we might lose something, but that's still okay. At least we have highly available architecture. Try to mug up this architecture, guys. And if asked in interviews, try to showcase this.
Okay.
So again, here we will be having, I mean, in this architecture, we can add our SNS, we can add our CloudWatch, CloudTrail, all these services. That are the kind of service what we use for the monitoring purposes, right? So we can add all the services again. So we have our VPC, we have our subnet, we have two availability zones. Okay, we have public, we have private, we have auto scalings, we have snapshots, EMI, RDS, different regions, static website, CloudFront. For every time, if you want to map your domain to Route 53, right? So it is not mandatory or necessary that we should use CloudFront. No, we have used CloudFront for only one use case, that was hosting our S3 bucket. That's the only use case what we have used CloudFront. So what you guys have did when we have asked you to map your DNS of your application load balancer to Route 53, you guys were trying to create CloudFront. That is not required. Every use case or every scenario is different. Do not try to merge everything. Okay. And also we have, guys, any other questions? Tajuddin?
if any user trying to go for the static data, it will be redirecting to the S3.
First
If any,
it will
be
okay, this one static data will be redirected to the CloudFront. I mean static website in S3 that is mapped with CloudFront, and this CloudFront is mapped with our Route 53.
or if he is going for any dynamic data, it will be going to our web instances and app instances.
See, here we have three different applications in this architecture. One is static application. Okay, this one where we have deployed S3, and then one we have our app instances, and one more is which is our load balancer is mapped to the CloudFront. Here if you see this dynamic content. Our CloudFront can also be mapped with load balancer. So we can either directly map this to Route 53, I mean the DNS of load balancer to Route 53, or with CloudFront as well. Okay.
When I'm trying to access my AWS account, casting it the homepage is static. So it will be taking that static page from the S3 bucket.
Yeah.
After giving
No. See,
not like
static
that.
page it will pick all the bro. Wait. For example, static.com. We have multiple lp.com. So we have three different applications deployed in our architecture. Okay. So for example, in Route 53, we can configure multiple domains. Why you guys are stick to only one domain? If the user is trying to use www.static.com, so what will happen? It will go to Route 53, and then based upon the domain validations, it will travel to CloudFront and then to our S3. This is how I have configured one application, and another application dynamic.com. So once I have used dynamic.com, what will happen? So my Route 53 will accept the request, and then again it will go to the CloudFront, and this CloudFront is mapped with our load balancer, and then load balancer will try to do its stuff, I mean redirecting and all. Okay, and then we have one more application which is mapped in our Route 53, that is elb.com. Then elb.com is directly mapped with our load balancer DNS. From here it will redirect. So this is how it is happening. Do not stick to only one domain. We can store different domains in Route 53, right? So why you guys are thinking as only one? Can we create multiple domains? If you are able
Yes.
to host one application, then we can also host different applications by purchasing different domain names and map them.
Since the domain names will be different, but application is
Domain
same.
is different, application is also different, bro. If domain is same, application, sorry, if application is same, then why do you need multiple domain names? Understood? We have different applications, then different domain names will be configured, and then different use cases, static, dynamic, and then ELB. ఒకటే అప్లికేషన్ ఉంటుందా కంపెనీలో? In your project, do you think there is only one application?
No, there will be a lot of
Then
applications.
we might have different applications. Why you are thinking or reserving yourself only for one application always?
Once
Why
we
that?
can create multiple EC2 instances and we can configure multiple applications. From that,
Yeah, you can configure multiple. See, one load balancer you can execute. For example, here we have 3, right? So static, it is deployed in S3. Dynamic, this is deployed in app load balancer. This dynamic, this ELB is also deployed in app load balancer only, right? The only way how we are mapping is different. So this will be working on 80, for example. This might be working on 90. So any request with port number 80 will be redirected to the CloudFront. From CloudFront, it will go to the load balancer. So this is how it is working based upon the listener. So one load balancer, we can create different listeners.
the code will be different for every application. And we are going to deploy that code in only in app instances for all these
Yeah.
things.
So everything will be different. I mean, the target group, for example, port number 90, these target groups. Okay, these 3 instances. Again, this internal load balancer, these 3 app instances. And then one database we can have, I mean, this is our instance. We can have multiple databases in this RDS instance, right? We can create multiple RDS, I'm sorry, multiple databases. So each application data will be stored in its specific database. One instance, multiple databases inside that instance. We can create up to 10 databases, right?
Is there any maximum or minimum limit that we have to use this many applications?
See, for every,
This
I mean,
architecture.
for eBay, you can create up to 5 VPCs only. We can create up to 100 S3 buckets only in one region. So for everything, there is a specific limit in AWS regions.
Depending upon the traffic coming and the application using, that depends our architecture.
Yes. You can create a number of instances based upon the CADR range of your VPC. Beyond that range, you cannot create, right? So we can create up to 5 VPCs. We can create up to 100 S3 buckets, and the maximum file which can be transferred to S3 bucket is, I guess, 1 TB or 5 TB. For everything, there is some restrictions.
Beyond that limits only, we have to configure all our applications.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want everyone to ask some questions, guys. Shravani Reddy, Arif Yafai, Amani, Radhakrishna, Nagaraju, Manasa, Obed.
Yeah, Sabir bhai.
Yes.
Yeah, after that CloudFront and the right side, there is another external classic load balancer is there.
Yeah, this one. This is, I mean, if we have different applications again in different region, so one Route 53 is enough for us. Here, this is just a blank region. I mean, we haven't created anything in this region. But still, if you want to deploy anything in the future, then we can host one load balancer, and that load balancer can be mapped to Route 53. I mean, one more application. For example, US is to is2.com. So this is the domain name for the application. So this application we can map with our Route 53.
Okay.
That's only for reference. That's it. We don't have anything over here. This architecture is highly available. This is okay for us. What happened? No one has any questions?
So will we RDS also connect with the auto scaling?
No, we have multiple AGs, right?
Okay.
We don't have any RDS instance scaling.
So if the master will be crashed, so
It will
stand
go
by
to the standby. And in order to improve the performance, we have our
read replica.
read replica.
Okay. So, got it.
Okay, and the snapshots related to the RDS are being taken out at the maintenance window, and then it will be stored in the S3.
Okay.
అడగండి అందరూ. Everyone
Saber
should
bhai,
ask. Yeah.
in this diagram where we can use AWS Shield.
Shield and all, for example, we have one service like WAF, Web Access Firewalls, or Web Application Firewall. So where can we connect at the load balancer level? That will work at the load balancer level. So we have Shield. Shield, what is the purpose of Shield?
AWS Shield protects against DDoS attack.
DDoS. So where can we map where can we possibly map our Shield?
DNS.
DNS
DNS.
level. So this side, I mean Route 53. So for every specific, I mean we have VPC peering. So where can we use VPC peering?
Sorry, internal.
VPCs, US
Internal
1A,
VPNs
US
and also
1B. Yeah. So we can have our peering, for example, here. Okay, or else here we can have peering. I mean from peering from US East 1 to US East 2. And also we have one more architecture. This is also one basic architecture. Okay, and this is also very clear. Customers internet and then Route 53 and then internet gateway and then our load balancer and then our NACLs and then our security group and then EC2s. This is public subnet and then our RDS which is in a private subnet. So we have Lambda, CloudWatch, SNS, S3, IAM. These are the different global services. That's the reason it is outside our VPC. And these are two different users who are trying to create the accounts. This is our VPC. This is our auto scalings. This is very basic architecture. So based upon, I mean, this is a kind of roadmap to learn each and every services and to understand how the traffic is being moving. Okay, here we have our EC2s in the private public subnet, right? So these two architectures, one is for the understanding purpose how the traffic is moving, and this is how our project architecture looks like. So try to talk about this in interviews. This is highly available as well as fault tolerance as well. Because everything we are trying to take the snapshots, see EBS snapshots, RDS snapshots, highly available because we have multiple availability zones. If something goes wrong, then it will redirect to the another availability zone. Okay. शीतल पूछो सवाल अपना అంత బాగా చెప్తున్నా ఎవరికి ఒక్క డౌట్ కూడా వస్తలేదు
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, actually what I understood from that architecture is if we deployed our application in CloudFront, then the user no need of like going all this way, like load balancers and then these instances, web instances and application instances. If we are not deploying in CloudFront, then the user has to go all this way, so that there will be like a little bit latency there. Is that right, sir?
No. So we were talking about 3 applications. Okay, one is deployed in S3, one is and S3 we are mapping with CloudFront. Again, one more application which is mapped with CloudFront and configured to the load balancer only, and one application which is directly mapped from Route 53 to load balancer. Okay, so based upon the user request, the traffic will be redirected to the particular target. So if you want to configure CloudFront, then you can configure, or else if you don't want to configure your CloudFront to your load balancer, then that is also okay. We can directly map with our load balancer. CloudFront basically it will help us to cache our data and improve the performance. And CloudFront is not the only solution for everything, right? So yeah, I mean, if you want a really good performance for your websites, then we should go for CloudFront as well. What you said is right, but not always. I mean, we can use either ways. We have both the sides.
Yeah, sir.
Others? Wasim Akram, you don't have any questions? You are busy in taking screenshots and all. मैं भेज तो ना यार वो भेजा बोल
नहीं साबिर भाई वो पूछा ना इलास्टिक लोड बैलेंसर बाहर कहीं को है और कहीं को
अच्छा आप ही
another
से
is
ओके
how
ओके और कौन है ताजुद्दीन అందరు అడగాల్సిందే ఈ రోజు క్వశ్చన్ దెన్ ఓన్లీ క్లాస్ క్లోజ్ చేస్తారు
साबिर भाई जो मेरा डायग्राम था ना उसमें जो टारगेट था तो उसमें में समझने नहीं आया तो एक बार डेफिनेशन होना है
टारगेट मेरा स्क्रीन दिख रहा ना गाइस यू कैन सी माय स्क्रीन राइट
Yes.
So Wasim Akram. Okay. See here AWS Fargate. So what is this service? I mean this is Wasim Akram architecture what he has used. Okay. So Fargate is a kind of I mean we have something called ECS. Okay. So what is ECS now? Let me open this 1 second. Let me open my architecture as well. Okay, so ECS. So in ECS is for the containerization. Means instead of creating this Tomcat, I mean, for example, if you want to set up your Tomcat server, so what we were doing, we were trying to launch one EC2, and then we were trying to create, I mean, install the packages, start that service, configure the port numbers, configure the user. So this is what we were trying to do, and this is traditional way. Okay, but the latest way is containerization. Means if you want to use any Tomcat or any Nginx or Apache, do not create one virtual, I mean do not launch one EC2 and install everything. So what we can do, we need to install Docker and just pull that container from the registry. Means if I see this dockerhub.com, so we have all the images available in the Docker Hub. This topic we haven't completed it. For example, Tomcat. So we have this official Tomcat image. So if I'll execute this command, what will happen? By default, Tomcat will be installed, Java will be installed, all the configurations will be done, and everything will be set up for us within fraction of seconds. No need to worry about the commands, documentation, or anything. Okay, so what we can do, we can deploy our application inside this container. Okay, this is a kind of lightweight virtual machine. Okay, so these containers will be deployed on your application. Our application will be deployed on in these containers. Now, when it comes to Fargate, right? So in ECS, we have two type of services. One is ECS EC2, one is ECS Fargate. For example, EC2 means our regular EC2 machine that will be managed by the ECS service, and Fargate means Fargate is the serverless service, means AWS will be managing this service. It's a kind of Lambda. In Lambda, what is happening? Every time it will be up and running, means the moment some request comes, it will start the service and it will help you to request your process. Okay, so Fargate is also a similar service which is being managed by AWS ECS. Instead of Fargate, we can have AWS EC2. Okay, so what is trying to do? Load balancer, the request is coming to the load balancer. From load balancer, it is reaching out to the Fargate where we have our application deployed in this Fargate. And from Fargate, again, if something is written, then it is redirecting or storing the data in RDS, in S3. Okay, and then what is trying to do? Code deploy. Okay, so all the deployments are being managed by AWS code pipeline, code build, code deploy, and this is being deployed on the AWS Fargate. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Sabir.
ऐसे भी तुम्हारा आर्किटेक्चर मैं एक्सप्लेन करना गया जी, तुम्हें एक्सप्लेन करना होगा.
Yesterday I was did, but समझ नहीं आया.
कॉपी करे वो डॉक्यूमेंट पढ़ लेना था, क्या क्या लिखा उन्हें, मिल जाते थे पूरी चीज.
नहीं, थे डेफिनेशंस पूरे, मगर समझाने नहीं आया उतना.
So Fargate is a EC2 kind of service only that is being completely managed by AWS.
So it's on the container level, right?
Yes. For example, let me show you something. Okay. We haven't came across this topic, but still, let me show you something. So Docker images. See here, Docker images. So we have our. Okay, let me pull this image. Okay, so now our requirement is to set up one Tomcat. So what we used to do, we used to execute wget and the Tomcat URL and all that stuff, right? So now what I will do, Docker pull Tomcat. I mean this command. Docker is already installed in my machine, so I'm using this command and pasting here. Hit enter. So once done, what will happen? See, it is trying to download some image called latest from Tomcat. I mean from this particular registry, Docker Hub registry. It is trying to download this image for us. It is trying to download from internet. Okay, so if we are in the private EC2, then how can we do this?
NAT gateway.
Connecting Bastion server.
Bastion won't give the internet.
I don't want to use any NAT gateway. Bastion will not help us with the internet. What Nidal said is right. Bastion is only for the connecting purpose. If you want to connect to your private EC2. So what we can do, was already said the half of the answer. I mean, we should copy this image to the Bastion. From Bastion, we can do SCP because we have the internet. I mean, internal connections are already available, right? Private IPs. So we can SCP that image and try to load this image. No need of any internet. Okay, understood?
Understood.
Yes.
So what you did is that we are not using internet right here, right? After executing the command.
No internet. Say for example, now I have this image in my local, so no need to connect to the internet now. So what I will do, docker run. I'm trying to start this container, Tomcat container, and this is one command, docker run -itd -p. Do not ask about these parameters for now. We'll discuss about this when we are working on docker. Okay. So
Java
then
also is not necessary. Installing Java also.
nothing is necessary.
Okay.
It might be in that already predefined.
Already it will be available in this image only. So docker run -itd -p latest means I'm trying to run this on 8080. I can see some IDs available. Let me cross check the status. Docker ps. Yes, this container is already up and running. Let me try to access. This is on my local host, right? So I will be using localhost colon 8080. See, if you see this 404 means we have some container which is up and running. The reason why this is 404 is because there is no web apps directory. Okay, here if you see this Apache Tomcat version 10.1.15 is already up and running. Within fraction of seconds we were able to start. For example, if you want to deploy, then what I can do, let me connect to this container exec -it db5/bin/bash. Acha, not db5, d5. Okay, here it will not work because git bash will not support. So let me open cmd. Same command. I'm using /bin/bash, one shell. So now I'm inside this container. If you see this, I'm inside this container. Okay, cd, we have these web apps. There is no default directory here. That's the reason it was getting failed. Now what I will do, I will try to download this, or else let me use duplicate. Okay, duplicate is also available, right? So let me try to download one sample application. Copy link address. Okay, our application is deployed. Now if I'll try to access sample, see our application is also deployed. This is easy, right? Instead of using the traditional wget, Tomcat, Java installation, everything. So this is the benefit with the help of containers.
So it already gave the path prefix also.
Path prefix I have deployed, right? So here, see, this is my path prefix for my application. It is not giving any path prefixes. If you want to access this application, then you should use your IP address, port number, and then slash the application directory name.
Right.
Thank you, Sagar.
So, as per his diagram, application is deployed in one such kind of service. That's it. Instead of using our regular virtual machines, he is trying to use containers. And instead of, how this file is been getting created, sample.py. How this file has been created, from where we have got this file. As of now, I have downloaded this file from Tomcat official page, but from where they have created, how this got created, that part we'll see from Monday. Okay, so we'll understand how the application is getting built. We have seen the deployments, guys. We have seen how can we deploy it, how can we copy and all, but we haven't seen how this application is actually getting compiled and these packages are getting created. We need to work on this. So we'll be starting our sessions from Monday on this. Okay, guys, any questions on the architectures? Tajuddin, सवाल करो कुछ भी.
Sir, hello.
Yes.
Sir, in AWS we have a service, no cloud formation, like regarding that stacks. Could you please tell that, because I didn't understand that cloud stacks.
Cloud formation is used to, for example, I have asked you to create one EC2. So what you are doing? For example, Arif, I am asking you to create one EC2. So what you will do? How you will create?
First, we have to meet our requirements.
Who is this? Arif is talking? Or someone else is answering?
Yes, yes, sir.
नाम बदलाना पड़ता, कौन की बोरेस वाले का नाम आरिफ रख देना, तुम्हारा नाम उनको दे देना पड़ता. सद्दाम हुसैन मुस्कुराए से बस है.
Launch instance का नाम.
So how can we create the EC2?
You go to the AWS login console and launch instance, and you have to create EC2.
So yeah, right. So what we are trying to do, Manasa? So whenever we get any requirement to create any EC2, so what we are trying to do, AWS console. Let me try to log into AWS. Manasa, how can we create one EC2 or one VPC?
Yeah, logging into AWS console, and on there first we have to go EC2 and then launch instance, and first we have give whatever the name we want for that instance, and then we will select the AMI image, and T2 micro we have to select that, and
Yes.
pair we have
So
to select.
So what we need to do? Okay, thank you, Manasa. So what we are doing? We are logging to our AWS. We'll select our region. We'll launch our instances. Right? So this is how we are trying to do it manually, every step manually, again and again. For example, you have got the requirement to create 100 EC2s. So what you will do?
We give 100 in launch instances in 100.
I know that you will do that. Okay, for example, we want 100 EC2s. Out of that 100 EC2s, we want different. I mean, some should be T2 micro, some should be T2 large, some should be C family, some should be M families. Then what you will do? All the 100 instances should be of different families, different configurations. Will you provide 100 in that? No, right?
No.
So what we can do?
Launch template, giving different versions.
Launch template is for auto scaling. That is not relevant to our provisioning. Okay, so we have something called CloudFormation and Terraform. Both are for same purpose. So what we can do is, if you want to create any EC2, no need to do it manually. We can use these tools. CloudFormation service is available in AWS, and Terraform is available. I mean, this is a different tool for the provisioning. Means if you want to create 100 servers or 10 servers or without any manual intervention, means I don't want to log into my AWS, but still these EC2 should get created. In this case, we can use these tools. So these tools, what it will do? It will help us to create our EC2s by defining these particular templates. I mean, here I am trying to write say description, and then what should be the key name, what should be the instance type, T2 micro, what should be the AMI, what should be the security group ID. If you want to install anything, I mean, if you want to configure any application, okay, what should be the security groups, what should be the IAM role. So we can configure each and every detail in this particular template. Do not look at this template and don't worry about this template. This is very simple. But as part of example, I have got quite complex example. Okay, so do not worry about this template. So what we'll do, we'll configure one template in this way. And what I will do, I will execute this template. So what will happen? This will help me to create my EC2, my IAM, my security group, everything without any manual intervention. Means no need to go to the console, directly use this template and you can create. Now if you have different requirement, for example 10 servers of 10 different configurations, then we can create variables the way we have created variables in bash scripting. We can pass these variables and based upon that variable this template will try to execute, right? So by using these automated ways, what we can what will happen, there will be no human error. Means manually configurations might lead to human errors, we might miss some parameters at any point of time. Okay, but if you have any templates, to create one template one time, and that same template can be used for different applications for different environments. Okay.
Yes, I will understood.
Pallavi.
Yes, sir. So what is stack?
Whatever is getting created, everything considered under the same stack. Means, for example, one VPC, one EC2, one S3 for that application with the help of one template, everything will be clubbed into a single stack. Stack is nothing but a kind of what we call a particular place where we can store everything.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Similar to our resource groups, what we had in our Azure. Okay.
So to configure all these things, where this template will be available in AWS console only, it is available, or where we need to do all these things?
This template we can configure this in CloudFormation service. From GUI as well you can configure, or from AWS CLI command we can push this template. Okay, create stack. So template is ready, or use a sample template. What template you want? For example, LAMP stack means Linux and then Apache and then MySQL and then PHP. This is what we have did, right, as part of example. So if you want to create one LAMP stack, then you can use this template, or else for example LAMP stack. Let me click this. Okay, so where this is stored, see, this is stored in S3. Click on next. Name, what should be the name? For example, Pallavi iPhone test. Okay, what should be the password? What should be the password? What should be the username for our database? What should be the key name? So we should configure everything. And if we'll click next, then it is asking for IAM roles. And if I'll click on next, and then if I'll click on create, then what will happen? After review, if I'll click on create, then it will create our LAMP stack. Means I haven't did anything, I have just created, I have used the existing template, or I can use my own template. Okay,
got it, sir.
so no need to do anything, just create the template, pass the template, that's it. Whatever is getting created, that will be considered in the same stack. Guys, any other questions related to architecture?
Explain about RPO, sir.
RPOs and RTOs, recovery point
PO,
objective.
sir.
Yeah, that's what
Recovery time objective. Time objective is nothing but after restoring whatever the time it is going to be taken, that's what we call this as RTO. But what about RPO, sir?
Recovery point
I didn't get
objective
from
means recovery point objective, right? So it is something which will be calculated based upon our last backup. For example, you have taken the backup of your RDS as 12 o'clock, at 12 o'clock, okay, and your database got failed, I mean something happened and it got filled at 12:03. Then what is the RPO time? 3 minutes. That is something which will be calculated by the clients when they try to encounter these issues. I mean, if something happened, then they will try to communicate in terms of RPO and RTO. That is only a terminology to communicate two different things. One is recovery time point objective. So how many minutes the failure has been done and what should be recovered and how much time it has taken to recover, that we considered as RTO. Understood?
Yes, sir.
And any other question?
Sabar, like if
Sorry?
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, available.
So what is the difference between asynchronous replication and the synchronous replication?
See, synchronous and asynchronous. Where is that? Okay, synchronous replication means everything whenever there is, I mean, here if you see this read replica, there is some lag. There might be some data which might be missing while transferring. I mean, synchronous means continuously it is trying to copy. There is no gap. I mean, whatever is available in the master will be available in the standby. And synchronous means it will take some time to copy. First, it will capture the data in the master and then it will take some time to replicate in the read replica. So there might be some delay. That's the only thing, synchronous and asynchronous. Okay.
Sabir, as we are talking about the data, the DynamoB, I read about it that it usually utilizes the unstructured data and the semi-structured data. So how does that work?
So what do you mean by MySQL and no MySQL? RDS and RDMS. I think I have
RDS
explained
is
all this
relational.
in video, right? So relational
Table
database and no relational database.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we talk about relational database, one such example is MySQL. Means the data will be in the structured format in terms of tables, in terms of rows and columns, and there will be some relation between table 1 to table 2. That we call as RDS, relational database. And one such example is MySQL and MariaDB. Okay, when it comes to our DynamoDB, it can store the data in any format. Means it can store the data without any tables and rows. No need to have any rows, columns, tables, and all this stuff. It can, if you are trying to copy an image, it will store. If you are trying to copy any file, it will store. Everything is possible for DynamoDB. One such example is DynamoDB. Okay.
All right.
So in our case, try to talk about MySQL database only. This will be asked in interviews. So have you worked on RDS? So you can say yes. So in RDS, which database you have used? So RDS is a service and database is MySQL.
All right, Sabir. So we would be saying that we have worked in RDS in MariaDB and MySQL, right?
Yeah, MariaDB or MySQL. Try to talk only one. I mean, do not use multiple names. Okay, try to stick either with MySQL or go for MariaDB. That's it.
All right.
Don't be in a position that you are fluctuating. Means if suppose you have if you have said like MariaDB and MySQL, then why do you need two databases? Again, you need to explain that theory.
Got it.
So better stick with only one. And most of the time, no one will be asking anything on this. But if they have asked you something related to database, then always talk about multi-ages, read replicas, RPOs and RTOs, synchronous, asynchronous. This will add different impact on the interviewer. Okay, try to talk about CloudFront, try to talk about S3, different use cases. Why you have used S3? This will be asked in interviews. Why you have used S3? VPG flow logs, our application access logs, our snapshots, our images related to the application, some blah blah blah. So these are the different use cases what we have used, and also we will see one more use cases in the coming days related to S3. Even that we need to talk. Even we will be using DynamoDB as well. Okay.
Also, Sabir, we have the policy in R53, right? R53 code of about failover, and we have the concept of failover in RDS also. So both are different, right? Because in
see,
this
RDS failovers is for the database. Okay. So Route 53, that's the policy, failover policy. How many type of policies we have?
7.
Simple,
geolocation, weighted, latency, geo proximity,
Your
multi-value.
proximity, multi-value, IP address.
So they will be focusing on what is geolocation, what is failover, what is weighted policies. When should we use this?
Sabir, failover policy is used to recover the disaster recovery of AWS Elastic. Is that correct?
Yeah. So DR. I mean, you raised a very good point. DR, disaster recovery. So now, in our case, do we have any DR here?
No.
I mean, as per this architecture,
no.
Do we have any DR? So we have two different availability zones. Okay, one is acting as active and one is acting as passive. Try to stick to this. Do not talk about DR because we don't have any DR as of now. If we are talking about DR, again they will be asking how you will be switching your traffic from one data center to another data center. They will go in a different direction. Okay, so we have two data centers, right? I mean, US East 1A, US East 1B, two availability zones. One availability zone is our active, one availability zone is our passive. Active means which is serving the traffic. Passive means which is the standby. If something goes wrong with the active, then the traffic will be redirected to the passive one. So how are we going to redirect the traffic based upon the health check? Here we will configure one health check for the load balancer. Based upon the health check, the traffic will be redirected. Or else you can tell us we only have active, I mean we have two different availability zones, we don't have any DR. That's it. It's not compulsory that everyone should have DR. No. We already have highly available and fault tolerance architecture, right? So try to stick to this. Do not talk about DRs, okay?
So for being cost effective, either you should have DR or you should have high availability.
No. Cost effective is nothing to do with the DRs. DR is for our backup of our applications, of our infrastructure. Okay.
Okay.
So for example, we have failover policy, right? So in this failover, something goes wrong with one region, then the failover will redirect it to the another region. That's how we can configure the Route 53 failover policy. Shavani, I think you asked that, right?
Sheetal.
Sheetal, right?
Yeah.
Understood, Sheetal?
Yes, Sabir.
So how many regions do we have in our project? Try to stick to project. Okay. So how many regions we have? We have one region. How many availability zones do we have? We have how many availability zones? Two availability zones. Okay. So now how are we maintaining highly availability and fault tolerance? By taking snapshots regularly, by having auto scalings configured. This is two ways how we are configuring this. Okay, so you need to talk about this. And apart from this, so what is the type of instance you guys are using for your application?
T2 large, 4 core.
What is the configuration? Yeah. So how are you trying to optimize the cost, reduce the cost?
We go for reserved on.
So we can go for reserved instances. Okay, we have auto scalings which will only scale based upon the traffic, so we are not using instances on a regular basis. I mean, for example, 5 instances are not always up and running. We have only 2 instances. If the traffic is high, then it will provision 3 more instances. So that's how we are reducing the cost. And then we are using reserve instances. Again, that will reduce the cost. And then we have our, what we call, what I forgot again. Sorry. We have our lambdas, you can talk. I mean, better go for, we can use lambda. For example, in the interview, they have asked you something called AWS guard duty, and you are not aware of that. You only know the definition. So try to read the definitions. Okay. For example, AWS guard duty or AWS shield. That will help us to prevent the DDoS attacks. Have you used? No, I haven't used that in my project. It was not required for us. That's it. Who is going to decide what needs to be used and what not needs to be used? Architect is going to decide everything. Capacity plan. I mean, which instance should we use? That should be decided by architect, development, and the operations team. I mean, your leads and managers. Have you been ever involved in the billing? Okay, billing related to your AWS account. Have you been ever involved? Then you can set the, you can tell them that I mean, you haven't been involved completely in the billing part. Everything was taken care by manager only. So I was not involved in terms of billing and all. I was more on the operation side. I mean, provisioning the infrastructure configurations and troubleshooting stuff. Okay, because we will be keeping 4 years or 5 years of experience. So do not worry about billing and all that stuff. You can directly tell them that you haven't been involved or part of buildings and cost explorations. But you should always provide them some general feedbacks. I mean, we can do this to reduce the cost, like auto scalings, or we have cost explorer, which can be used to optimize the cost, or which can be used to tally the cost related to our resources. Okay. Understood?
Yes.
Sir, can you explain that load 53? Why you are using load 53? What is that?
Route 53, Nazaruddin, basically that is for domain name configuration. You can mute yourself. Okay. So, go on mute. Okay, for example, I'm trying to hit fd.com. So what is this? What is this? Facebook.com is one domain. Okay, Facebook.com is nothing but domain, and then we have HTTPS, that is nothing but the SSL certificate. Okay, so now let me show you something. I'm doing nslookup facebook.com, then I will be getting one nslookup 157.240.23.35. Then this is nothing but the DNS of your load balancer. Okay, where the Facebook has been deployed or attached. Okay, so what is happening? See, once I am trying to hit this load balancer DNS, again it is redirecting to the Facebook page only. See, Facebook page only it is going. So now, if I will be sharing these details with the end user, for example, you are my customer. Okay, so let me delete this. If I am providing you this particular DNS, so can you remember this as an end user? Can we remember this? That is not possible, right? So this is very, I mean, we have a lot of stuff. iPhone star, iPhone mini, iPhone SSV 01 mar2.facebook.com. So this is not easy for the end user to remember. So what they will do, they will purchase the domains from the end user, like www.facebook.com. Okay, and this facebook.com will be configured in our Route 53 service. So where is our architecture? Yeah. So this facebook.com will be configured in the Route 53 service. So Route 53 is the service used to configure our domain names. And then what I will do, I will configure facebook.com. I am not yet done, Nazaruddin. One minute. Okay, this facebook.com will be mapped with our load balancer. I mean this DNS. So as a end user, what you will do, you will try to use facebook.com, and this is also easy for the end users to remember. So what I will do, I will hit facebook.com, the browser, and this will redirect to the DNS of the load balancer, and whatever is attached to the load balancer, I am able to get the response. See? Even if I'll copy this page, even if I'm trying to copy this, same page is been, I mean the target is same page. See, facebook.com. Understood? Now you can unmute yourself. Okay. Guys, do we have any other questions?
API gateway is used only for mobile applications.
Sorry?
API gateway.
API gateway?
It's using for only mobile applications.
That is not for mobile applications only. It can be used for any applications. For example, guys, focus here. Okay. మీ పక్కలో ఎవరైనా పడుకొని ఉంటే నిద్ర లేపండి అందరికి ఉఠో బాజు వాళ్ళకు నీంद में से మానస నిద్రపోతున్నాను आरिफ भाई गुड मॉर्निंग
हाय बोलो मैसेज कर दे बोलो
हाँ विचारी से बोलो क्या है कि नई टेक्निक कुछ भी मिली क्या है कि बोल के आंख खुले रख के सोने की ठीक है ओके so API so why do we use API what is the full form of API guys
application programming interface
so what is the use of API
what is used to connect the different so resources together.
For example, I'm using Flipkart. Okay, so let me just use Flipkart. Login. Okay, let me try to log in. Okay, so now what is available? I mean, this is my Flipkart. Okay, so for example, let me try to order something. For example, let me try to put some order.
You can give my address.
Yeah, I will put cash on delivery and I will put your address. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so this is some order what we are trying to place in any website, either Flipkart, Amazon, or Myntra, or any XYZ. Okay, let me click on buy now. Okay, now it is showing the address and all. Okay, so deliver here, same address, and then continue, accept and continue. And see, now the moment we have moved to this checkout page, for example, net banking, for example, as Access Bank, or else credit card details, or else phone pay details, for example, our phone pay. Okay, so any page, net banking, let me use net banking, Access Bank. Okay. So now see what is happening. From where we have redirected, from Flipkart to, we have moved to Access Bank application. See,
directs it's gives the direction.
Understood my point. So we were using Flipkart application. Once I have used checkout option after for the payment, it has moved to Access Bank internet. I mean internet banking. Now Nidal, you can share your login ID and password. Then we can put the order.
Lol.
Okay. So now, so we were using Flipkart, and then for the payment gateways, they are using every account. I mean, if the Flipkart user wants to put the payment from Axis Bank, then he will redirect it to this page. So once I will enter these details, what will happen? It will detect the payment, and I will get back to the Flipkart page. So how this is happening? But my first question is, why Flipkart is integrating all these Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, UPS, other payments? Why don't have their own payment gateway? Why are they using other banking payment options? The problem here is, what Flipkart has thought is, I mean, instead of creating one own, I mean, their domain, I mean, their banking application, which will help them to manage the transactions and all the details, better to use Axis Bank Open API or Google Pay Open API, Paytm Open API, or ICICI Bank Open API. They will do their work. I mean, for Flipkart, for every payment, these APIs are managing. So Flipkart, what they have done, they have integrated their application with these APIs. So they no need to manage anything related to payment. You are okay to manage your application only. Payment gateways will be taken care by the restricted banking. So they already this Axis Bank has their own payment transactions, everything, right? So they have their application. So we are trying to merge two applications. Now, what is the benefit for Axis Bank? For every transaction, Flipkart will be paying a specific commission. I mean, this much amount will be sent to Axis Bank. So how they are exposing? So what is happening from one application to another application? The communication is possible with the help of these APIs, application programming interface. So even we can create any application and we can open the APIs. Means I will tell them that these are the public APIs. If you want to use, then you can integrate with your website. So Axis Bank has given some open APIs which can be used for the transaction purposes. So what is the benefit for me? I mean, for Flipkart, no need to create these payment applications, right? We are just using their open APIs and integrating with my website. Payments will be taken care by the banks and the products will be taken care by the Flipkart. Both are integrated. The data related to the Flipkart users and all will not be shared with Axis Bank, or the users of Axis Bank will not be shared by the Flipkart. Means specific APIs will be used for this purpose. So what is API is doing? API is trying to communicate from one application to another application, from one microservice to another microservice. If you want to communicate, then we need to have APIs. So who are going to create this API? APIs will be created by development team, developers. Okay. So in simple terms, for example, you went to one restaurant, okay, and then waiter will come and he will hand over the menu book and he will ask you what you want to eat. So you will customize your food. I mean, you want Maggi or you want some biryani or something. So what that waiter will do? That waiter will go to the chef and he will place your order that this particular table, this user wants to eat this. So what chef will do? Chef will try to prepare everything as per your customizations and then he will hand over to the waiter. Again, waiter will come back and put that on your table, right? So now the waiter is working as a API, means he is trying to pass the communication from you to the chef. Understood?
Acting as mediator.
Ah, right. So waiter is working, I mean, acting as a API. He is trying to pass the communication from user to the kitchen room of the hotel. Understood?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So let us cancel this order. Okay. And anything else, guys?
Sir, as we are talking about this API, so in CloudRail, it will monitor this API activities. No, what actually it means?
See, in CloudTrail, the API's activities means, for example, I am trying to search one S3. So the moment I am trying to click this option, okay, there is some API configured in the background. I mean, this is also one application, right? AWS console itself is one web application. So what is happening? It will try to click one API and that API will take me to this particular page. Now I'm clicking on create bucket. Again, something is happening in the background. It is trying to create the bucket interface and all. Okay. So in CloudTrail, it will capture all the events related to your activity. Okay. So CloudTrail will try to capture all the activities, whatever you are trying to do in your AWS account. Sample open API. Let us see if we have any sample open APIs so that we can test. Understood, Pallavi?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got it.
So whatever we are trying to do, it is trying to hit some API in the background. However, the developers has written the code, it is happening. For example, okay. See, this is the HTML page for this particular website. Okay, so what I have did, I have created a right click, inspect, then you will get everything. See, create bucket and all. So this is how the basic I mean the icons and the colors, everything have been configured over here. See, colors. This is something what the developers will do.
It is code related to this page.
Sorry?
It is a code related to this page.
Yeah, code related to see this particular. I mean not code, but HTML graphics. I mean CSS sheets what they have used and how the borders have been configured. See, front family, it seems, front sizes, okay, line height and all. This is something related to this page only. So we have a lot of things here. Do we have any APIs? See, Autodesk Amazon S3/buckets create. Here can you see this? S3 buckets create. Then we are in the same URL S3 bucket create. Now F1N is nothing but that for new line. Okay, so you can find all the details. But do not worry about this, guys. Do not think about this. Okay, so you'll be confused. See, in APIs, we have these type of methods: get, post, put, delete. Means if you want to do some curl operations, if you want to update anything, any database and all. Okay, and then API information, and then we have the responses. So how the response will be received by the end user. So we can test this, how the response will be from the application. Okay. Guys, understood?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Do we have anything else?
No.
If we are good, then we'll wind up this call. Hope architecture is clear for everyone. So try to stick to this architecture and always try to use key terminologies, RPOs, RTOs, high availability, fault tolerance, snapshots and all. Okay. So try to make use of this. And we'll start our mock interviews from 2:30. Okay, so take your lunch break for 1 hour from 1:30 to 2:30, and then we'll start the mock interviews at 2:30. So you have 1 more hour of time. So try to prepare for the mock interviews. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.